the timelines. Once we have clarity of when the DRHP is filed, beyond that, when can we expect things to proceed? The last time this took place, of course, we had to wait for years. I'm assuming that we won't have to do that this time around. And the second question has to do with valuations. At this point, the rough estimate is a total value of 5 lakh crore or over that point at this juncture. How does that compare to a valuation multiple of the listed entity, which is BSE?
Well, thank you, Alex, for having me on this show. Good evening to all of you all. So, a decade wait is finally turning out to be a reality with the NOC being obtained by NSE from the regulator. As you rightly pointed out, and your colleague was also mentioning about the litigation and the settlement reached thereafter. 5 lakh crore is the estimated, number that has been put forward, but I think we'll have to wait for the details to come through to get to the point of conclusion. But this definitely sets the positive tailwind for the capital market related stocks when we get back to trade. Of course, Sunday we all are working because of budget. Markets are open as usual. But as in when we have more details, I think this should possibly be a positive news for the capital market related stock. And I think related entities who have investment in NSE in terms of shareholding, there would be tailwinds positive also on those stocks. So let us wait for the details to come through. But a long wait, Alex, is over, I guess. And possibly the work would start at ground level as soon as possible.
Okay. But another factor, and this is something that we keep repeating on the channel as well, is that if you bought in the unlisted space and you hold those shares at the time of IPO filing, you have a lock-in period that has to play out. Can you explain that for the benefit of our viewers, particularly because you have upwards of a lakh of investors currently in the NSE and over 34,000 at the last estimate of retail shareholders?
So, Alex, mandatory lock-in period is there for each and every company, right? So, depending upon that kind of a lock-in period. And one thing is there, I don't think that anyone would be eager to exit, as and when the IPO comes through and the listing takes place. I don't think anybody would be wanting to exit because, as we all know, there is a lot of tailwind positive for the Indian capital market and the stocks related to the Indian capital market. We ourselves as a brokerage house are positive on one of the such stocks, that's Computer Age Management Services Limited on CAMS. And we are also of the opinion that for the next 3 years, 5 years or more, if Indian capital markets are going to do well, depending upon how the country does and of course how the corporate earnings grow. So with respect to the lock-in period, whatever mandatory timeline is there will be played out. But like I mentioned, I don't think there will be a rush once the lock-in period gets over. Of course, it's a long shot, Alex. We are just talking about NSE getting an NOC right now, valuations, and of course then the prospectus coming through, then the road shows, and of course the listing eventually. So mandatory lock-in will be there, but like I mentioned, I don't think there will be many people who will be wanting to take an exit route. Too early to speak about that, though.
Okay. Too early to speak about that, but the perspective that you will have, having tracked the space for so long, Gaurang, is between 2016 December, which was when the initial application was made for IPO for the NSE, to now, what is the kind of change that has taken place? We all know the latest figures with regard to the investors and the number of PANs that have been added and the trading volumes. But can you put that into perspective for us?
So I think, look, as we all know, the numbers that have been put out by the depositories, month-on-month addition that has been happening, whether it is to do with depository accounts getting opened or the number of footfalls that have been increasing in SIPs, etc. And of course, as we go into, and Alex, at ground level, when I interact with a lot of investors at ground level because we regularly conduct investor awareness programs, and the kind of attraction and the openness to get attracted towards capital market, especially from the tier 2, tier 3 cities and some of the semi-urban Indian areas, has been very, very large. Now, there is that people are willing to take that step forward and take that extra calculated risk, because as we all know, investment into capital market is all about exposing to risk, higher appetite, of course, for the risk. So, as more and more individuals get attracted towards the capital market, direct or via mutual fund SIPs or lump sum investments, I think the avenue is going to be much different and the footfalls are going to be much larger. That will definitely translate into a lot of positivity for top line and bottom line for exchange-related stocks, or even, as a matter of fact, services-related stocks or intermediate-related stocks. So I can't put an exact number, Alex, right now, because the news is just out. We need to just break up all these things, but I think it will be positive.